Hello class, welcome to lesson 6 of our course. We are going to discuss the wastewater treatment and disposal system. So before 1850, human and liquid industrial wastes were typically dumped in the street or alley or conveyed to the nearest body of water without treatment. But we know that is dangerous because when this waste goes to a body of water that is um, consumed by humans, like sa rivers, sometimes there are people who still get their drinking water from the rivers. This could pose some health threats. So in 1854, the connection between the cholera and sewage contaminated water was first discovered. Better attempts were made to treat and dispose sewage separately from drinking water. And by early 1990s, by this time, health problems associated with improper disposal of waste and wastewater were causing real problems. That's why in the 1970s, the US Congress passed the Clean Water Act, and this legislation led to the establishment of national water quality standards and limits for discharging of pollutants. So today, the government leaders and health authorities are responsible for ensuring the state standards for wastewater treatment and water quality are met consistently, not only at inspection time but always to protect public health and the environment. So, from what we have discussed last lesson, wastewater or sewage is used water. It contains waste product, excrement, and other discharge from the bodies of human beings or animals and other noxious or poisonous substances that are harmful to the public health or to animal or aquatic life or to the use of water for domestic water supply or for recreation. So the purpose of wastewater treatment is not just for human consumption but also for animals and most importantly to marine life. So alam natin na lahat ng tubig na ginagamit natin, lahat yan napupunta din sa dagat. Ang ending niya ay sa dagat. Pag nagtapon tayo ng basura sa ilog, pupunta yun sa dagat. Sa and sa dagat, there are marine life that could be endangered by this waste. So before tayo magtapon ng tubig, kailangan natin yung linisin so that the if it ever ends up on the bodies of on important bodies of water or pwede ding underground. So para kung may organism na mag-consume ng tubig na yun ay hindi sila mapahamak. Okay? So, although the terms wastewater and sewage are used interchangeably, sewage technically contains waste products or excrement from human beings or animals and wastewater may not. So, pag sewage, pwede siyang may kasamang excrement. Pag wastewater, pwedeng hindi. Okay. So wastewater from residences, apartments, motels, offices, office buildings, and other similar types of buildings is referred to as domestic wastewater. There are two types of domestic wastewater, gray water and black water. So yung gray water is typically contains the residues of washing processes, and while black water is the wastewater that contains fecal matter and urine. So we have the domestic wastewater. We also have the commercial wastewater. This is a non-toxic, non-hazardous wastewater from commercial and institutional food service operations and beauty salons. Meanwhile, industrial wastewater is processed and non-processed wastewater from manufacturing, commercial, laboratory, and mining operations, including the runoff from areas that receive pollutants associated with industrial or commercial storage, handling, or processing. So in this chapter, we are going to deal with the domestic wastewater only. So wastewater is mostly water by weight. So wastewater released by residences, businesses, and industries is approximately 99.94% water, and only 0.06 of the wastewater is dissolved and suspended solid material. So technically, it's 0.06% waste and 99.94% water. But even though ganun nakakaliit yung waste sa part ng wastewater, sometimes it's enough to poison or to be hazardous to human beings, to animals, and most importantly, to marine life. So, anong laman ng 0.06% dun sa wastewater. So one of those key components is the organisms. Many different types of organisms live in wastewater and some are essential contributors to treatment. Bacteria, protozoa, and worms work to break down certain carbon-based organic pollutants in wastewater. So one of the most important the most important component of wastewater is the organism because they are the first step in treating the wastewater. So we also have the pathogens. So iba yung pathogens dun sa naunang organism kasi basically yung nauna nating na-discuss which is bacteria, protozoa, and worms, they are scavengers and natural na tungkulin nila sa ecosystem yung mag-breakdown ng mga organic compounds. Now, yung pathogens naman are the organisms that cause harm or cause sickness to people and animals. So they cause disease from the word pathogens. So many disease-causing viruses, parasites, and bacteria are present also in wastewater. Some illnesses from wastewater-related sources are quite common. Gastroenteritis from parasitic protozoa Giardia lamblia and Cryptosporidium Cryptosporidium is not unusual in the United States. And other diseases transmitted in wastewater include hepatitis A, typhoid, polio, cholera, and dysentery. So, nang naaabot ng mga pathogens, nakakarating ang mga pathogens sa ating drinking water kapag malapit yung pinagdi-disposan natin ng ating wastewater ay malapit sa pinagkukunan natin ng tubig na inumin. So, this should be also prevented. We also have the organic matter. Organic materials or pag organic matter, compounds that contain carbon. Organic materials enter wastewater in the form of human wastes, paper products, detergents, cosmetics, foods, and other agricultural, commercial, and industrial sources. Large quantities of biodegradable materials are dangerous because the bacteria consume large amounts of dissolved oxygen in water, which robs other aquatic life in the dissolved oxygen they need to live. So, it is hindi porket nabubulok yung ating basura ay pwede na nating itapon sa dagat or sa ilog because these substances, these biodegradable wastes, take oxygen para mabulok sila because the organisms that cause them to decay use oxygen. So what happens what happens pag ganun? Yung bacterial, nauubusan nila ng oxygen yung ibang marine life na gusto ding mabuhay. Okay, so this organic waste can also decay and pwede naman silang mabulok sa lupa where hindi sila makikipag-agawan ng oxygen sa marine life. So it is important that we do not throw waste in bodies of water either kung nabubulok man sila o hindi nabubulok. Large quantities of biodegradable materials are dangerous because the bacteria consume large amounts of dissolved oxygen in water that is supposed to be for the aquatic life. Then many organic compounds developed for agriculture and industry are non-biodegradable. In addition, certain synthetic organics are highly toxic. So either non-biodegradable or biodegradable sila, parehas po silang dangerous sa aquatic life. So sometimes wastewater also contains oil and grease. So we know that this is dangerous also to the aquatic life because when large amounts of oils and greases are discharged receiving waters from community system, they increase the biological oxygen demand and may flow to the surface and solidify, causing aesthetically unpleasing condition. And not only that, kasi since yung water is already covered with a layer of oil, the aquatic animals that need to go to the surface to get some oxygen, hindi sila makakakuha because of the layer of oil that is covering the water. So, oils and grease can also trap trash, plants, and other materials, causing foul odors, attracting flies and mosquitoes. So another substance that can be found in wastewater is the inorganics. Inorganic materials, metals, and compounds such as sodium, potassium, calcium, magnesium, cadmium, copper, lead, nickel, and zinc are common in wastewater from both residential and non-residential sources. Large amount of many inorganic substances can contaminate soil and water. Some are toxic to animals and humans, and they may accumulate in the environment. So you know what else is part of inorganic? Sometimes there is mercury. Okay, so mercury is also very dangerous to aquatic life, and can contaminate soil and water. So another component of wastewater is the nutrients. Wastewater often contains large amounts of nutrients, nitrogen, and phosphorus, which promote plant growth. In severe cases, excessive nutrients in receiving waters cause algae and other plants to grow quickly, depleting oxygen in the water. Solid materials in wastewater can consist of organic and or inorganic materials and organisms. The solids must be significantly reduced by treatment or they can increase the biological oxygen demand when discharged to receiving waters and provide places for microorganisms to escape, reducing the effectiveness of disinfection systems. Then finally, wastewater also contains gases. Many gases emit odors, which can be serious nuisance and, in severe cases, lower property values and affect the local community. Some of these gases may even be dangerous, being combustible or toxic. There are many kinds of sewage treatment systems, but in this lesson, we are going to discuss only the on-site sewage treatment system or OSST and the alternative sewage treatment systems. So, on-site sewage treatment system or OSST systems, traditionally called septic systems, usually consist of the building sewer, which leads from the building into a septic tank and then into a distribution box that feeds the fluid into a drainage field or disposal field. OSST systems treat wastewater from rural and suburban homes, mobile home developments, apartments, schools, retail facilities, and businesses that do not have access to a community wastewater treatment and disposal systems. So I have here in this diagram the basic parts of an OSST systems. So primarily, it has a primary treatment component like a septic tank and a disposal component which is typically a drainage field. So in this we can see it in this diagram. We have the building, then the septic tank, then the disposal field. Household and human waste flow in a pipe from a building sanitary drainage system into a septic tank. And inside the septic tank, anaerobic and aerobic bacteria convert the wastes into minerals, gases, and a liquid waste called the effluent. Clarified effluent leaves the septic tank and flows in a pipe to a drainage field. So in this video, we are going to learn the basics of how an OSST system works.
If you live in a rural area, in or near a smaller community, or have a cottage, chances are you have a septic system. Septic systems are used to treat household wastes when a connection to a municipal sewage system is not available. These systems are on-site because they are intended to treat wastewater where it is actually generated. Anything that goes down the drain, every drop from your shower and every flush of your toilet, flows out through the septic system. Typically, a septic system consists of a storage tank, a network of pipes, and billions of microorganisms inside the tank that help process your waste. Most rural homes have what's defined under the Ontario Building Code as a Class 4 septic system, that is, a septic tank, along with a leaching bed or a filter bed, all buried beneath the soil.
Basically, the idea is to treat the wastewater, first of all, typically through a septic tank. And the septic tank will settle some of the solids out, provide a little bit of the treatment, and then we would send the effluent to some kind of soil absorption system, or sometimes called a leaching bed, where we would further treat the effluent and then allow it to trickle into the soil.
The waste flows to the first compartment of the tank where the heavy solids settle, and the lighter materials, fats, oils, and greases float to the top as scum. Baffles and screens keep this scum layer from flowing out to the leaching bed. The scum is removed when the tank is pumped out during regular maintenance. A small amount of fine organic particles may settle in the second compartment of the tank, where almost all of what's left breaks down. In systems built or upgraded after 2006, an effluent filter is required to trap and help decompose any remaining particles before they get to the leaching bed. The leaching bed is made up of a network of perforated polyvinyl chloride drain pipes. These PVC pipes disperse the effluent, allowing the liquid to seep into the ground, where the bacteria and other organisms continue to break it down, and where it is further filtered by the stone and sand that surround these pipes and the soil below. The Ontario Ministry of Agriculture, Food and Rural Affairs is a key partner in researching effective septic systems, and the ministry facilitates collaboration among many leading organizations and stakeholders with an interest in Ontario's water resources, including the Ministries of the Environment and Municipal Affairs and Housing, Agriculture and Agri-Food Canada, and others.
Let us discuss some of the primary treatment equipments in an OSST. We are all familiar with the septic tank. This is shown in the video earlier. The septic tank is a watertight, covered container designed to settle out and hold solid waste and partially treat wastewater with beneficial bacteria. It allows heavier solids to settle to the bottom of the tank, and lighter particles such as grease and soap float to the top of the tank. The lighter particles form a layer known as the scum, and the remaining solids accumulate as sludge in the bottom of the tank. So in this picture, you can refer to this picture for the cross-section of a septic tank. So a septic tank is divided into two compartments to enhance the treatment process. The first compartment is usually larger than the second. It is also equipped with baffles to prevent the scum and sludge from leaving the tank. The baffles only allow the liquid effluent between the scum and sludge to leave the tank and enter the drainage field. A septic tank must permit detention of incoming sewage for a minimum of 2 days based on maximum daily flow. So another type of a primary treatment equipment for septic systems is the aerobic tank. So aerobic tank are a substitute for a septic tank, and they consist of a trash tank, an aeration chamber, and a settling chamber. Pre-manufactured aerobic tanks use wastewater treatment processes similar to municipal wastewater treatment process. The clarified effluent is then usually discharged into a drainage field. So you can refer to this figure for the aerobic tank system. So from here, we have a pre-treatment treatment tank which separates the scum to the wastewater and the sludge. Then the wastewater goes to the aerobic treatment tank, which the water is aerated by an air pump. Then once the wastewater is clarified, it goes to the clarification chamber. Then it goes to the next chamber, which is the pump tank. Then nag-insert ng konting chlorine. Then the water is quite clean. Then the water goes out to the spray heads. So we have seen this earlier in the example. A pump tank is a watertight container used to temporarily store clarified effluent before it flows into a drainage field. Wastewater is first treated in an aerobic or septic tank, then the effluent then flows by gravity into the pump tank, and when the level of stored effluent reaches a preset elevation, the float switch turns on the pump, and the pump discharges the effluent to the drainage field several times a day. So yung nakita natin kanina, may spray head lang kasi, yun yung drainage system niya. But sometimes there is a different drainage field system. Sometimes a sand filter is used. A sand filter is a lined impermeable container containing a bed of granular material that provides additional treatment of effluent as it flows from the primary treatment tank to the drainage field. So in this picture, we have the on-site wastewater treatment system that uses a sand filter. So, galing siya sa septic tank na may 2 chambers, then may pumping chamber, then the water is pumped to the sand filter. Then, it provides another step of treatment for the wastewater. Then the water is discharged to soil absorption field. Then sometimes we use the trash or grease tank. A trash tank is occasionally used in conjunction with an aerobic tank. The trash tank removes materials that treatment microorganisms are unable to degrade. Grease tanks are used with septic and aerobic tanks, usually in commercial applications. So cesspool is a covered underground container that receives untreated sewage directly from a building and discharges it into soil. So this is an example of a cesspool. As you can see, from the building, the sewage goes directly into the cesspool, and the cesspool is a cylindrical container na may mga butas-butas. So the solid wastes stay there. Then the wastewater, since wastewater is a liquid, it goes through the holes and it it discharges it to the soil. So the main problem here is yung wastewater is yung wastewater can go to the underground water, and baka may kumuha ng potable water dito, so delikado. So let's discuss the secondary treatment and disposal equipment. So the most commonly used is the absorption drainage field. So this is also shown in the video earlier. An absorption drainage field consists of rows or cold lines of underground pipes through which the clarified effluent passes. So in this picture, yung square na malaki ay yung rectangle na malaki is the septic tank. So galing sa septic tank, napaghiwalayan natin yung wastewater tsaka yung solid part tsaka yung liquid part, tapos yung scum. Tapos yung wastewater, puproceed siya sa second chamber. Then yung wastewater is pupunta siya dun papasok siya lalabas siya sa septic tank through the baffles. Then, tutuloy siya dito sa distribution box, which is the smaller rectangle over here. Then, from the distribution box, the wastewater, the effluent will flow to the tubes connected to the pipes connected to it, which are perforated pipe or tile. Then the wastewater is discharged to the soil. So sometimes instead of the absorption drainage field, ginagamit din yung gravelless drain fields. So instead ng mga perforated pipes, ang ginagamit is the gravelless drain field, which distributes effluent into the soils through gravelless drain pipe instead of gravel. The pipe takes many forms, including geotextile fabric, wrap pipe, and open bottom chambers. So yung kanina pala kasi, the absorption drainage field, may mga perforated pipes sila, yung butas-butas na pipes. It goes through, kailangan pa niyang ng layer ng gravel sa palibot para masala yung tubig. But in this case, in the gravelless drain fields, itong pipe na mismo to yung may filter system, kaya no need ng gravel. So sometimes an evapotranspiration or trench drainage field is also used. So this works by treating wastewater by evaporating the water from the soil, as shown in this picture. So yung wastewater galing sa bahay, dumalay siya papunta sa septic tank. Then galing sa septic tank, it went to the evapotranspiration bed septic system, which there is a layer of gravel here, impermeable level here, then there is gravel, and the wastewater flows here. Then the water from here, the water from this evapotranspiration bed evaporates through an open air tank. So this is good because the wastewater will not flow to the groundwater, which may be consumed by humans as potable water. So sometimes para hindi naman masayang nutrients sa wastewater, there is vegetation that is covering this evapotranspiration bed septic system, and um, the water is transpired into the air through plants and grasses, and the vegetation covering the soil prospers on nutrients introduced by the effluent. We also have the low pressure dosing drainage field. As the effluent flows from the septic tank into the pump tank, the water level rises inside the tank. When a fixed water level is reached in the pump tank, the pump introduces water into the drainage field, and in the drainage field, the effluent is introduced into the drainage field through small holes in the drainage pipe. The soil provides additional wastewater treatment, and soil particles filter the effluent, microbes, and microbes in the soil kill the bacteria and pathogens. So this is just the septic tank system na may pump. So that's why it's called the low pressure dosing drainage field. The absorption mounds consist of septic tanks, a pump tank, and an effluent pump, 10 controls, and an above-grade drainage system. The mound created by the steep layer soil is a topsoil cap and grass cover. Effluent from the pump tank flows through the holes in the perforated drainage pipes and into the mound. So this is called the mound system because there it creates a mound on the soil. Mounds are used at sites that have shallow soils. The spray distribution system spray the disinfected effluent into the ground surface in a manner similar to lawn irrigation system. So this is all already shown in the earlier example, yung yung picture na may aerobic tank. So from the aerobic tank, then pump tank, then galing sa pump tank papunta sa spray heads. So before the water is still released through the spray heads, the water must be disinfected first. The effluent must be disinfected first. They require an advanced treatment process that purifies the water, a pathogen removing disinfecting system. Chlorinating is the most common method, a pump tank, distribution pipe, and a disposal area containing the spray heads. The leaching chambers distribute effluent into the soil in a manner similar to conventional gravel-filled trench systems. Each chamber dome supports the soil above it while maintaining sufficient volume inside for effluent storage. The sides are lowered and the bottom is open to allow for passage of effluent into surrounding soils. The subsurface drip drainage field consists of a septic tank, a pump tank, and a filtering device, and a drip distribution system. Subsurface drip systems can be installed on steep slopes and at sites containing dense clay soils and soils overlying shallow bedrock. So a seepage pit is a deep underground container that receives clarified effluent from a septic tank. It has openings on its walls that allow effluent to pass through and seep into the surrounding soil. So let us solve some problems involving OSST systems. Here's the problem. An OSST system consisting of a conventional septic tank and an absorption bed drainage field will serve as single family residence with 4 bedrooms and 4 bathrooms. The maximum daily sewage flow rate is anticipated to be 720 gallons per day. Letter A, determine the required septic tank size. Letter B, determine the area required for an absorption bed drainage field based on a percolation rate of 12 minutes per inch. And determine the minimum trench length. Assume a trench width of 3 feet and 3 feet. Determine the area required for an absorption bed drainage field based on a percolation rate of 50 minutes per inch. Determine the minimum trench length. Assume a trench width of 3 feet. And assume an elevated sand mound system will be used in lieu of an absorption drain field based on the same percolation rate of 50 minutes per inch. Okay, so let's solve for this problem. So first, let's sort out the given. Ano ba yung mga given dito? Single family residence, 4 bedrooms, 4 bathrooms, then 720 gallons per day. Determine the required septic tank size. Okay. So we can make use of our textbook. So if we refer to chapter 15, page is this, page 543. of the textbook, we can find table 15.3. This is the typical allowable design capacity of septic tank, which varies by governmental jurisdiction. So if you're going to design a system for in the Philippines, we should be using the National Plumbing Code. But since this is just an example and the book is written in the United States, we are using their plumbing code, but their plumbing code is also based on the Universal Plumbing Code. So I think that should medyo close naman. Minsan may mga konting variations lang. So, for our design, we have a 4 bedroom, 4 bathroom. So, anong susundin natin dito since hindi magkalinya yung dalawang 4? Itong susundin natin sa yung number of bathrooms kasi sa bathrooms naman nanggagaling yung wastewater, di ba? So, let's highlight this whole row. So, the minimum capacity of septic tank for this 4 bathroom house should be dito manggagaling sa row na to. So, since single family dwelling, dito nang galing sa row na to, ay sa column na to. Then, since ang hinahanap natin is capacity ng septic tank, dito tayo kukuha sa column na to. So, the value is 1,500. The size of the septic tank should be 1,500 gallons. Okay, check na to. So, sa letter B, determine the area required for an absorption bed drainage field based on the percolation rate of 12 minutes per inch. So, let's go back to the textbook. Okay. So, the next table is the minimum drainage area requirements for septic tank effluent. And it varies by governmental jurisdiction. So, again, if you're in the Philippines, you should use the National Plumbing Code. So, ang average percolation rate natin for our example is 12 inch per minute per inch. So, dito siya sa 6 to 15. It's between 6 to 15. Let's highlight this. So, alin dito yung kukunin natin? Kukunin natin yung value dito sa all OSST system except elevated sand mounts and subsurface sand filters. Ito naman yung para sa elevated sand mount and subsurface sand filter OSST system. So, kukunin natin na value is 1.19 feet per gallon per day. So, balik tayo sa B. 1.19 feet squared per gallon per day. So, ang kailangan natin is area. So, para matira yung feet squared dito, i-multiply natin siya sa flow rate which is 720 gallon per day. Okay. So, balik tayo dito sa calculate natin yun. So, that will be 1.19 times 720, 856.8 square feet. So, this is our required area. Okay? So, ito, okay na to. Letter C, determine the minimum trench length. So, since we have the area here, the area is equal to length times width. Given na rin yung width, which is 3 feet. 3 feet. So, 856.8 is equal to length times width 3. So, length is equal to, divide lang natin to sa 3. 285.6 feet. So, ganyan kahaba yung ating trench. Okay. So, letter D na tayo, determine the area required for an absorption bed drainage field based on a percolation rate of 50 minute per inch. So, balik tayo sa table kanina. So, ang percolation rate natin ay nabago, naging 50. So, dito siya. Oh, ayan. So, since ito ay OSST system, general, yung typical OSST system pa rin naman, hindi siya sand mount or subsurface sand filter. Ito pa rin yung gagamitin nating column. So, that will be T-perc minus 45 times 0.0. I should copy this. Yan. Now, saan na siya? So, I have a value, I should write this. Sa letter D, area is equal to T per percolation rate minus 45 times 0.028 plus 2.24. Okay, place na natin to. Okay. So, and this is in feet squared per gallon per day. Sige. So, A is equal to, ang percolation rate natin is 50 minus 45 times 0.028 plus 2.24. So, A is equal to 50 minus 45 is equal to 5 times 0.028 plus 2.24. Okay, the answer is 2.38 feet squared per gallon per day. Now, we are going to multiply this by the flow rate ng sewage para matira yung feet squared, 720. So, the area is equal to 1713.6 square feet. Okay. We have letter D. Ano yung letter D? Then, determine the minimum trench length with the trench length of 3 feet. So, letter E, area is equal to length times width. So, width is equal to 3 feet. Length is equal to 1713.6 divided by 3. Then we'll just divide the previous answer by 3. So, we get 571.2 feet. Okay. So, okay na yun. And letter F, finally, assume an elevated sound mount system which will be used. Then, same percolation rate of 50 minutes per inch. So, balik tayo sa table. Ito sa table. Okay. So, dito pa rin tayo sa 46 to 60 kasi yan yung range ng 50. So, ang pipiliin naman nating value is for this one, elevated sand mount and subsurface sand filter system. T-perc minus 45 times 0.022 plus 1.89. So, T-perc, sorry. A is equal to T-perc minus 45 times 0.022 plus, ulit yun, 1.89. So, this is, let me double check. Ayan, tama. So, this is still in square feet per gallon per day. So area is equal to T-perk is 50 minus 45 times 0.022 plus 1.89. So 45 minus, that's just 550 minus 45 times 0.022 plus 1.89, 2. So area is equal to 2 square feet per gallon per day. So just multiply it by 720. So 7 multiply it by 720 gallons per day, 144 days. So area is equal to 1440 square feet. So this is our answer. Okay, for this problem, this involves the um, design of a seepage pit. So for letter A, determine the required absorption area for a seepage pit based on the percolation rate of 12 minutes per inch. So let's refer to the book as because yun naman yung lagi natin ginagawa for design problems, di ba? We refer to the book for the values. Now, from table 15.6, these are the typical required absorption areas for a seepage pit, and effective absorption area listed is for each gallon of wastewater per day based on percolation rate of soil. So, ang percolation rate natin is 12. It falls between 10 and 15. I'm going to highlight it. So, since walang exact value yung corresponding value yung 12, we are just going to interpolate that. So, going back to our notebook. So, these are the values. Sorry. So, ito yung values for na kinapi ko doon sa book. So 10 corresponds to 0.75. This is in minutes per inch. This is in square feet per gallon per day. Okay. So interpolating this, you will get a value of x is equal to 0.834. That is in square feet per gallon per day. So to compute for the required area, that will be, you will have to multiply this by the flow rate, which is 720 gallons per day, para mag-cancel out yung gallons per day, ang matira is square feet. Okay. So this will give us a value of 604.48, 600.48 square feet. Okay. So okay na to. Then we determine the number of 8 feet diameter by 8 feet deep seepage pit that must be used in this design. So, ilang seepage pits ang kailangan kung ang chosen dimensions natin ay is 8 by 8. So, we can refer to the book again. And we can see from table 15.5 the absorption areas in square feet and meters squared of selected seepage pit design. So, ang diameter natin is 8 feet. Then, ang depth natin is, so I'm going to highlight this whole thing. Ang depth nung seepage pit natin is 8 din, 8 by 8. So, kunin natin yung 8. So, the absorption area is 200.9. So, let's write it out. Ito is letter A. Sulat natin. So, area equal to 200.9 square feet. So, kailangan ang isang CPH pit kaya niyang ma-absorb yung 200.9 square feet. Pero we have 600.48 square feet required. So, how many CPH pits is that? So, we can calculate that by dividing the required area by the absorption area per CPH pit. So, 600.48 divided by 200.9. This gives us a value of 2.98 or 3 seepage pits. Okay. So, we're done. Aside from the discussed on-site sewage treatment system, we also have the alternative wastewater treatment systems. These systems do not use water to treat or transport human body wastes, and if properly designed, they conserve water and avoid disposal of effluent and pollutants into waterways and the general environment. One of the oldest and most basic methods of waste disposal is the pit privy or latrine, a pit dug below an outhouse structure that collects human body wastes. So we can see in the picture what it looks like, kung ano siya. But basically, parang naghukay ka lang, then pwedeng doon yung i-deposit yung mga human wastes. Then, matatakpan siya ng shelter. Then, instead na may toilet bowl tayo, meron lang tayong slab with drop pool. Liquid waste seep into the soil and percolate through the soil. Solid waste remain and partially decompose so the pit becomes full over several years, depending on the size and number of users. We also have yung composting toilet. A composting toilet is a self-contained waste treatment system that uses natural biological decomposition to convert toilet wastes into water vapor, carbon dioxide, and stable compost-like end product. To produce a thoroughly decomposed compost product, there should be three conditions to be met. Number one, microorganisms that then decompose the waste need oxygen to flourish, so the process must remain aerobic. Number two, the compost must be maintained at the correct moisture content. And number three, the temperatures must be maintained above 60 degrees Fahrenheit for composting to proceed effectively. So in this picture, we have two kinds of composting toilet. The first is the self-contained and the second is the bi-level. Yung self-contained, shown in the picture, it has a waterless or micro flush toilet. Then meron din siyang ventilation pipe para hindi sumingaw yung amoy. May exhaust system siya. And it has it has its own composting chamber and leachate drainage. So yung bi-level naman, the one at the right of the slide, it has a toilet room vented through pedestal. Then it has two levels. That's why it's called bi-level. And the finished compost, ay the waste go through, mahuhulog siya dun sa toilet. Yung foul air will be let out using the vent. Merong fan, then lalabas siya sa environment. Then yung solid waste ay mahuhulog siya dito sa ilalim, sa finished compost. Then the excess and the liquid will also be drained. Meron din tayong incinerating toilet in which yung human waste, instead na i-flush siya using water, ay i-eliminate siya using fire. So, incinerating toilets are self-contained waterless systems that do not require being hooked up to a sewer system or in-ground septic system except to dispose of gray water. So, nasa picture naman, makita nyo naman kung ano yung itsura ng incinerating toilet. Then finally, we have the holding tanks, which are used for wastewater disposal when soil, slope, lot size, groundwater, and other features on the site render all other tank or drainage field solutions impossible to achieve. They are used as a method of last resort in vacation homes or other short-term use facilities. So that will be all for today's lesson. I hope you learned a lot. Please don't hesitate to contact me if you ever have questions. And this will be the last lesson before our midterm exams.